All right.
Good.
You're muted.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, we can go right down to, huh? Oh, you're not done with
We're
it?
recording already. I already hit it when I went on mute.
All right. So we're back in open session. Let's do committee reports. Vanguard, hey Scott, can you help me out here since I didn't get the email from our really good email provider system that doesn't work half the damn time?
Well, all I can say about Vanguard is that we bought a new, ladder truck,
Bucket truck?
or
Bucket truck, yeah.
bucket truck, I mean.
Ladder truck, fire department.
And that will be delivered next June 23rd, hopefully.
Okay.
Decided on the transmission.
A year from June, right?
Next June?
A year ago.
June of 23.
June of 23.
Not the 20.
That's how far out this is, and they're not even guaranteeing that.
Do we have to put like a deposit or anything down on it?
Do you remember that, with the finances on that? I don't think we put one down on it.
I don't know, I know what the total cost was, but.
It's like over 300.
304,000.
304,000.
Is that gonna, is there any risk of that changing in the next year, or is that?
No,
That's
once your contract is
solid
in
good.
contract.
But, yeah.
There's some sneaky places that are trying to change that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Sean told them that it was locked in or it wasn't gonna be purchased.
Yeah. Yeah, with cost of materials, a lot of places are doing that.
I will say that, I did talk to Sean today, he couldn't be here tonight. They are working right now, they're putting in services that they dumped in for the winter. So, otherwise, there's nothing major. We're still working on land acquisition for substation. I think we need to kick somebody in the butt there pretty quick,
Yep, we're ready,
That was
public works,
done,
we'll
yep.
talk about that.
okay? And, that's about it.
And Sean's heading the land acquisition conversation?
He is not,
No.
Huh?
he is not, that's Forrester, it's contracted,
Oh, Forrester's.
yeah. All right.
And Sean's also working on some solar projects out at the school too.
Yep. Yeah, that's continually ongoing right now, so.
Yeah.
All right, Black Earth Fire, Mary.
They did not meet, and they will be meeting May fifth, the first Thursday at 6 p.m.
All right.
When was that date again?
Isn't this May fifth?
Yep.
My phone went dead.
It's the first Thursday in May.
First Thursday of the month, I think it's May fifth. Okay. At 6:30.
Okay, EDC, we met on March 30th at 5:30.
Isn't it Dane, Iowa?
Dane, Iowa.
It is.
Did I miss that? Oh, I get to do the.
Did you make that?
He just wanted to avoid.
I'm sure there was no discharge violation.
There was no discharge violation. I can tell you that. Oops, don't wanna show you that picture. It's a project at work.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
the old,
yeah.
it's the old project at work.
We, met on March 17th at, 2020 at 6:30 at Dane, Iowa. We talked about the phosphate, reimbursement. We agreed upon a rate. Mazo also has a significant, investment in their section. So they want to renegotiate and do a negotiation of a higher rate for payback for that. We had decided to keep it the same as everybody else, to keep it fair, and that's how we left it, so you'll have to deal with that later.
That's good.
Yeah, I figured you did like that. And, talked about connection fees, they didn't, with some landowners that got hit with some extra fees in Arena. They did, well, with the school project, they had
Oh.
22 more additional units, and since I'm not a fan of connection fees because they keep it, it doesn't go back to the villages, I told them what I thought.
I think we got billed for them though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that later. Anyways, so that's basically was the meeting, there was nothing else. And the next meeting is, does it say?
April 21st.
Yeah,
And I'm going to that one.
okay,
Is
good.
that what,
I hope you do.
okay.
Oh, 6:30.
Yeah. All right, I wanted to skip right over that one.
Thank you.
Economic development, now we did that on, March 30th at 5:30. We reviewed some business replies and had some pretty good information. We decided that we were also gonna link businesses to our website and then try to get some information. Also had some talk with, hopefully, Miles and the chamber. They're starting to get going and get some stuff done. About it, right?
Yeah.
Talked about some grant application stuff and different things like that, so.
Linking businesses to the village website,
Yeah,
So,
just a hyperlink, so is the,
well, it's listing our businesses
okay.
on a page of ours.
we
And-
talked about changing our website to be more friendly to our businesses. So right now, I have made some alterations to the website. If you go to the front page.
And I thought about looking at it, but I have not.
Yeah, there's, you'll see a couple little changes that hopefully will be more friendly,
Mhm.
links, more activities linked.
Is the,
I don't want us
Only-
to be the chamber and have to list every single business out either. That's
yeah,
not
so
our
this,
point.
yeah, I didn't know if there would be a concern of preferential, you know, if we don't list all, so what's the issue? So,
Really
you
shoot
know,
off into the chamber page.
Yeah, and we already have links to the chamber and as a gateway and anything else.
Well, EDC had thought, we talked about featuring a business of the month, which I think would be a great idea. And that businesses that would like to, you know, if you're worried about, you know, selectivity, the businesses would be told, and now we have a complete list, hopefully, or more complete list of the businesses that actually occur right here in our village because we went out and spoke to people. So we could eliminate the ones that are shut down and we added to the ones that, were not included previously with contact information. So, I think that, that would be good to feature a business every month and have, you know, they can give their own.
I think we talked about, chamber actually featuring a business every month, and then we could help host that. 'Cause we weren't gonna pay a staff to go feature a business.
Oh, I didn't get to that part, yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
hear
that
that.
sounds-
Isn't that the way we left
We
it?
talked
Well,
about that. We also talked about trying to fund a position to help
Yeah,
too.
right, we did.
So,
We did talk about that too,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I remember.
So-
But chamber's kind of limpy because it's only just, Miles right now and.
From the understanding, we don't have a chamber. I thought we dissolved it.
Nope,
no.
they're trying to
There.
get it going.
Chamber
So
still
they're
has
just
a
trying
bank
to
account
do
with money
something?
in it.
Yeah.
So there's no
Okay.
So
dissolution.
hopefully,
I haven't heard.
all right. Emergency management, I know the answer, right? We haven't had one, right? We're trying to get one together, but schedules are kind of a bummer.
Since February 23rd, I've been trying to get an emergency management meeting together, so.
EMS,
Right, we met on the 10th of March at 6:30. We won't be meeting in April. Kind of some budget items. That was Jim's last meeting. I guess I wasn't supposed to say that ahead of time. That was his official announcement that he was retiring.
Okay.
So let that one out of the bag a little early, sorry about that. But he is, end of this month, he will be leaving. At that point in time, there were no applications for assistant director to replace him. They did have an interview, with a, potential candidate but they didn't apply. So the person interviewed, but they didn't officially apply. They were gonna reach back out to them. I believe the personnel committee, handled that situation, but I don't have all the details. I don't really want
I
to
do.
talk about
So
it.
since then, they've hired an assistant director.
Okay, yep.
She had worked for MedFlight, and she, is a licensed paramedic.
Okay, yep.
Still short-staffed.
Yeah.
Jim's taking the month of May off, which I don't blame him after all these years.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be a lot of holes to fill, so
Yep.
probably more LTE hours and,
Is she local, this new one?
I'm not sure where she's from.
doesn't live right here, she lives in Middleton,
Oh, close.
but half our people come from the outside
I was
anyway.
just wondering how far away she's.
Yeah, Middleton, yeah.
For what it's worth, Jim will be here for coffee with the cop. I do believe they're gonna have a cake for,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Don't they have a celebration for him? Like-
They do.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the date though? I thought it was April 30th? No.
Oh, the open house, or
Yeah.
not the,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
at the-
yeah, they
Did
didn't
you
have,
see that?
yeah, I did see that.
Anyway.
I will find that.
If we get it, we'll put it up.
Yeah, I'll put it up or email it out, so.
So outside of that, they did talk about, like, new hires, people coming in, they didn't have an employee handbook, so they're working, personnel committee is working on getting an official handbook, employee handbook going. Brought up, video surveillance on the, trucks themselves, mostly for, liability insurance reasons, get a ruly patient or something to that effect. That got tabled to the next agenda, or to the next meeting, so we'll talk more about that, but that is something they're looking at doing. Another thing we're looking at doing is a regional consolidation of the EMS branches and so we're looking at reaching out to like Cross Plains and Arena and trying to bring everyone into the fold and having one set regional, EMS team department versus bits and pieces, patchwork things. From a, budget standpoint, it kind of makes more sense to.
What's the timeline for that one? Do they reckon they'll know? what they're doing?
That's early stages, still
Just
drafting
feeling interest from other
letters.
people.
Yeah, it's too early to say, gotta reach out to people and talk to them. And this was May or March, so almost a month ago, so I'm sure there's been some movement on it, I just don't know yet. And then we ended with the Lucas 3 demo, so that's the automated chest compression thing, so that was pretty cool to watch. I almost feel bad for the person that that's happening to, because that looks pretty rough.
Wow, you should see real CPR, it's rubber.
Yeah, I believe it.
If you're not breaking ribs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool to see. There's different functions and settings. They can do a live hot swap of the battery, so if the battery goes dead while they're doing the chest compressions, they can just hot swap it.
Battery lasts 45 minutes.
Yep.
Oh, wow. So if you have to swap, it's been a while.
Yeah, yeah. So it was cool to see that and to see that it's already in there and we didn't have to pay for it, so.
And they are having Jim Wick is retiring Saturday, April 30th, 1:30 to 4:30 at the District 1 EMS station.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's a public open house.
What was the time on it?
Saturday, April 30th, 1:30 to 4:30.
Outside of that, we are no meeting in April, and we will meet again on May 12th at 6:30.
All right, you wanna go right into parks?
Oh, yep. All right, so parks, we met down at, Community Park on.
Sorry, I skipped you, didn't I?
Did we? I didn't think I was.
Let's go ahead,
You
let's
skipped
go
me
back to
too.
Matt. I
Yeah.
crossed him out with, library.
You skipped me too.
I was saying, I thought
Library.
I thought you went with library.
Never said anything.
Oh, you got something else to say about library? Nope. Sherry, go ahead.
Skip right over me. No, I'm done. No.
Matt, sorry. I couldn't see that.
Sounds
Scribbled.
right.
Okay.
Next meeting?
Okay, Public Works, we met on, Monday, April 4th at 10 a.m. We had, we've already talked about the stuff that Vanguard's been through, on the substation, we're trying to get that poked, get that speeded up. The electric rate case was submitted on the 18th, and I guess we heard from Shelley about where that's at tonight. We haven't closed on the property yet with groundswell as far as the Cooper property is concerned, and the park committee will be reviewing the draft at their next meeting. This is something that I think ties into this grant writing group that we're gonna go out to bid for. This is a BIL grant for transportation projects. Deadline, though, is June 3rd, so it doesn't give us a lot of time. But the reviews of the applications don't occur until August or September. Doesn't cover water or sewer, 80/20 coverage. It becomes a Wisconsin DOT project. So we had discussion on Hillside and Ray Street. We're gonna fill out an application and see where it goes.
We'll need a resolution from the board as well on that.
Okay, that would be something to add to next year's agenda, okay. The chip sealing, we got $20,000 in the budget for chip sealing, so we've asked Matt to do an overview of, the village roads and come back at the next meeting that we're gonna have. We have awarded some bids for Scott Construction and some crack filling, but there are other streets that we're prioritizing, and, we'll probably, expand upon that. I'll let you talk about the Public Works Director's report.
The next meeting, please.
Yeah. The next meeting
should be
is,
May 9th at 10 a.m.
yes.
I guess for director's report, we had some trucks worked on. I picked up some Bobcat tires, did some tree trimming with Vanguard, working on starting to get the park bathrooms put together, just waiting for the weather to straighten out so that they're above freezing temps for that. Working on equipment updates with the committee, looking at street sweeper options, sewer jetter options. Did start our brush chipping for this season. I did have Cross Plains come in one time to do street sweeping with Danny's help and Shelley's help today. We've been having Cross Plains sweep our streets since 2015, so we have all those invoices. I'll just tally them up and bring that to the next Public Works meeting on what that's cost us over the past 7 years now. Ice rink is down. Prell's ditch update, maintenance did start coming last week to do some dirt moving of all the piles that were put up from the project last fall. I have the mulcher tentatively scheduled for the tower project to do the forest cleanup up there. Waiting for weather to cooperate to do stump grinding in Veterans Park. And going back to crack filling, chip sealing, what was approved so far was just Turkey Road, so that would be from F up to the cemetery. The reason that was done was the township was looking at getting that done. We have roughly, I think it's 900 or 1,000 feet. All the equipment's right there, so Public Works Committee just said, yep, get it done, with the amount being about $5,500. I think that's about covers everything, if there's any questions.
Are the bathrooms gonna be open for this Saturday by any chance, for the Easter egg thing?
I was gonna say, it's gonna be still cold,
It's gonna be cold.
It's supposed to get,
Still freezing over.
I'll
Yeah,
keep an eye on the
overnight.
temperatures. We could probably make the bathrooms work and leave the bubbler off and just kind of, I think if we get a heater in the middle mechanical room, it might be enough to radiate out.
Or even just open one bathroom and put a
You
sign?
can't do one.
Oh, you can't.
No, it's gotta be all or nothing.
Oh,
You know, just the way it's plumbed.
There's, I was thinking that would be easier.
Nope, yeah.
Just wondering, because there's
Nope,
gonna be
thank
little
you.
kitties.
Yep, thank you for bringing that up.
And lots of potty use.
Yep.
With the candy flowing.
Yep.
All right, you wanna try again?
All right. Open your house up for that one, Tyler? Get out the hose?
We've got a couple sisters on the property.
Well, isn't it run by Lions then?
Yeah.
Yep.
And he could, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and we could, if we,
I didn't even think about that.
if we
You got a
don't.
bathroom?
Yeah, that's what James said, why didn't he open his own bathroom?
If we don't
Yeah,
open
the village hall will be
hall
open.
should be open
And,
that day
yeah.
as well, so, we can just put a sign up across the street or go lines down, so.
Plain traffic, go that thing.
Just a flashy light.
Yeah, the library's open.
Oh, boy.
Okay, all right, ready for the parks?
Yep.
Okay, all right, so try this again. So we met, 14th of March at Community Park at 5:30. Appreciate everyone coming out there, because it's really cold, and so hopefully future ones won't be so cold. So we talked about the Cooper property, we sent the street, what we want to do with the street, we sent that to, Public Works, which sounds like you guys are sending that back to us with a resolution, is that what I caught there? So we'll be moving forward with that, we'll talk.
We don't have anything
No.
from Public Works.
No.
We didn't talk about it because it was,
Yeah, no.
it's not ours yet.
right.
Yep.
Huh?
Parks will get.
Public Works didn't talk about it at all.
Grant.
Well, I have in my notes that the Cooper, the Main Street was supposed to go to Public Works to decide what Public Works wants to do with Main
Oh,
Street.
with Main Street, that's.
It didn't get talked about though, because we brought it up, but it's not our property yet, so
Yeah.
we just.
The street
put it
is.
on hold.
The street is.
The street
yeah.
is.
I know, but the property that putting parking in, we didn't talk about it.
We didn't talk about putting
Right.
parking in.
Right, yeah. What I'm talking about is the street itself, so that
Oh.
we can talk about parking at the park committee, because we need to know what we're doing with the street. Because that's gonna decide what we do with the.
So the question is, do we put a parking lot where Cooper's driveway is?
Right.
Or do we try to do it right off the street, which you share with Vern?
So that's what we need to talk about at Public Works.
Nobody wants to make these moves until we know whether or not we got
Yeah.
everything signed and
Oh,
sealed.
well, Main Street, I mean, the street itself, either you gotta repair it or get rid of it.
So it'll have to go back to Public Works
Yeah.
then, so we can talk about it, knowing
So
that now we're talking about the
Yeah,
road.
we don't rush.
If we
Yeah.
take that
Clear
street
this
off,
up right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so vacating that portion of
Right.
Main Street will come back to the village board probably next month, because we will have to pass a resolution to vacate it.
right,
Once that happens, then we can get that property half to mine holes, half to Cooper. Groundswell did close on the property, they're working on the warranty deed to the village as. So,
Perfect.
Public Works, it doesn't need to do anything with Main Street, village board will make the decision on it.
Okay, so the deed is in process to come to us, okay, perfect, all right. That's that, we talked a little bit about putting in like an actual kayak dock, but then Shelley and I kinda talked about that, and I think we're gonna kind of switch from putting it on the Cooper property, which would require easements and all kinds of other things, and try to work with,
Steve?
Steve, yep. and
Because you
Shoe
couldn't
Box.
get under the bridge from me.
Right,
right.
so that will be further discussions, there's nothing to really
Yeah.
move on that yet, there's just further discussions on that. We talked about putting up the buildings on the surplus. I think we were waiting on some more quotes and some other technicalities, gas, the
Ownership?
deed and ownership, yeah. Shutting off the gas, doing all that kind of stuff. So that, more to come on that. We're 7 over here. So parking, we talked a little bit about parking for both the Cooper property and over at the ball field. We talked to Town and Country, they sent over some diagrams and stuff, and I talked with, Nick, right? Nick, Town and Country, yeah. Talked with him, prior to the meeting, because he wasn't gonna be there, just to get a general idea of what we could do over at the Black Earth, or the baseball area. Nothing really to report, other than the concerns of, like, we had that space to be able to do that, the runoff, how pavement, losing green space, those kind of conversations. So still ongoing, but we did start talking about that. Talked about the basketball courts, whether we're going to refurnish it, like put in a new basketball court over at Community Park, or just redevelop it, raise it up, and do that whole 9 yards. We're getting quotes again on that to see what the price on. We believe that the price to repave it is basically the same to put in a new one. So, like, not, I shouldn't say basically the same, they're close,
Yeah.
$5,000 difference or something. Those are just estimates, we don't actually have quotes on any of that, but.
Just know that if you go through Midwest Seal Coat, we went into a legal battle with them.
Yeah, that's the one we didn't want.
Did not use them, okay,
Do not recommend, that is a.
all right, I'll make note of that.
Well, you just have to do it, don't they? Let them do the legal battle.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
We did ask, Home Talent to be present so that we could talk about the old concession stand. We just kind of want to make sure that there's, everything is still, an agreement, that they're going to take care of it, not going to let it get dilapidated, things of that nature. They said they do have plans to repaint it and are potentially looking at replacing the garage door. It was more just a communication thing, just to make sure that we're all still taking care of the property as needed. So, they're on it, there's no issue there. Talked about getting, one of the things we talked about is if we replace the basketball court, or if we get rid of the basketball court, what do we put in its place? Is there something else maybe we could put there? Didn't really, the committee as a whole didn't really like the idea of getting rid of the basketball court, losing the Black Earth School. Now we would have no basketball courts in the community. But we did talk about maybe getting like a soccer goal that we could, like a goal post that we could put out somewhere to just kind of give additional recreational activities, and not necessarily needing to like take that space specifically for that. So we're gonna look at discussing that more towards the fall, around budget time and stuff, to see what we can do with that.
Just a heads up on basketball, for the last 2 years, there've been summer scrimmages that Miles hosts. It's
Okay,
at 5:30, and any kids, any gender can show up.
okay.
And, so it does get more use than maybe, well,
There's a lot of, I think
No.
there's a lot more use than what, you know, it's
Yeah.
tucked back in there, so you don't see
We're
it. but
down there
I
all the
walk
time,
down there all the
so I
time,
know,
there's,
yeah.
there's people playing on it all the time.
Yeah.
but I think that and he doesn't ask any money for it, there's no, he just shows up with, and the kids bring their basketballs, and it's just awesome, so fun for them.
I would,
I don't know if this is, but the tennis court is cracked, you know, they tried their best to fix it, but if there was a surface that could combine the two, if you're talking about redoing the basketball court, like.
Right, that's
there's a
sunk
way-
on this end too.
They were redone together
Yeah.
at the same time.
Well, I mean,
But I'm
That's
saying,
how fast
what I would almost recommend is, I suspect that the sub-base under the tennis court is failing, and the reason why it's sealed didn't last as long as it should. And I would say try and do both at the same time, and potentially even move the tennis court over to where the basketball court is. I don't know if that's something I should be
I don't know if
going
that's-
to
Let's go to
parks
parks
and
or
talk,
not,
yeah.
That's good part.
I'll go and talk
Yeah,
at the
good idea.
that's not a bad idea, moving the court. I got notes of that, so we'll definitely bring it up. Weed and thatching, we talked about that for a little while, it looks like we're gonna go with, and I just have loose notes here, so correct me if I'm wrong, Lawns Unlimited and Olson Tune, Lawns Unlimited for the thatching, right? And then Olson Tune for the weed and feed.
I'll tell you, the thatching's done.
Yeah,
Oh, is it done? Oh, okay.
He was out there doing this, you know.
Oh, is that what he was just doing? Oh, okay. Oh, thatching, that's what you said, I thought you said patching.
Oh, okay, yeah. Patchin, or is it next to that?
Right here. So that's done, and we all heard that, we got it on tape.
And, with thatching, the Bombers paid, a different party to do the thatching on the large ball diamond, so
Okay.
they took care of that. So that was kind of their donation or their kind gesture, I would say.
And then, Matt, you already talked about the stump grinder, and we talked about, looking at a landscaping company to help us spruce up the Veterans Park area a little bit, versus kind of us trying to do it on our own. That'll be another future agenda item to kind of talk more about whether or not we can afford to bring somebody in to do that.
Well, that's where if we go out for somebody, a planner.
Well,
Yep.
Shelley, do you have the third phase for Veterans Park that, it's
Rich
Carlson,
that was,
he drew up a few years ago?
That had to be,
was that before Shelley's time, maybe?
It might have been close. But there was a three-phase plan done, and Parks got first and second phase done. But there should be a third phase.
Oh, that'd be good.
So
Somewhere.
1776.
Yep.
Before Shelley.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, we could follow up on that and see if.
It's gotta be here somewhere.
I think in the interim, if we can get somebody to fix that fence that is behind the, is that called a pump house, or where they store all this stuff? It's so dangerous for the kids, there's always some kid crawling in there, and
Well, what are they crawling in there for?
yeah.
It's a foot above the ground, they're gonna crawl under there no matter what.
they crawl under there, and then there's, all I see are little, 50-gallon drums, and most of the kids know me, so and they'll say, come on, guys, out of there, but it's not really,
Nope, that's on our agenda to paint
one
that.
has water in it.
Paint it and repair some of the boards. It was talked about doing a total overhaul of the fence, but at some point that pump house needs to be redone
No, I get it.
too.
It's just so,
We didn't wanna spend a couple $1,000s to
Right.
replace the fence when we knew that.
like, I know
the
this
fence
is
would
a
come
crappy
down.
solution, but even just sandbags.
All right, let's take that to the committee and talk to them. Let's keep going here.
We did have,
Leave for
like,
another meeting.
yeah, 4 or 5 other things, but it got too cold and we tabled them for the next meeting, so. Next meeting will be at, where did I write that?
It was
That's
42.
part of Monday.
It was
Yeah.
freezing.
Veterans Park on Monday, which is what, I'm sorry, 18th at 5:30.
All right, police
Still
committee.
supposed to be 42.
Police committee met on March 15th at 5:15. We went over the December and January call reports, February call reports. Nothing on current calls and updates, nothing real earth-shattering. Coffee with the Cop, at that point, was still on hold because of mask mandates. Hopefully April, well, now it's opened up, so we've got that going. Summer rec plans, they plan $8,000 to use in the summer rec program, and of course, the other stuff was the speed board and where we place that, and, we need to start looking at maybe something lighting out here, and this is a police committee, thing, but people aren't slowing down on that 45, and we think it's because it needs maybe one of those little flashy solar lights that go like this.
Coming into town?
Yeah, out 45 coming in and slowing
Yeah.
down. I mean, there's a lot of 18-wheelers that are going 45 right here.
The list of grants that I sent Shelley has stuff for signage, we might wanna,
Right,
Maybe
and that could be
that-
out of the ARPA funds, that's not that big.
I think people just don't wanna slow down.
Right,
Yeah, but they don't sit out there.
they don't want to see.
Vinny gets a lot of.
Vinny gets
Our
meeting is,
people
our
We
next
did
meeting-
talk about maybe adding a speed board sign there if we liked how these, effective these other ones were.
Right.
So,
Our next meeting is May 17th at 5:15,
May 17th?
May
We're not
17th.
meeting in April, right?
When was the park committee, what time?
5:30.
5:30.
Yeah, better
At
at
that
park.
Bring your snow gear.
if it's
Yeah.
not
Weather
I know it's
dependent.
supposed to be
Yeah.
cold again. It
Yeah, it's
should
supposed to
be.
get cold again.
All right.
It is, yeah.
Any other business to be brought before the board for future agendas?
something that you might wanna discuss, the broadband speed test could be really valuable for us to get funding for, it. Certainly, here's a thought, we don't want the people that take the, and I forwarded one to Shelley, it's real fast. We don't want the people that have super great internet to be taking the speed test. We want people that are taking the speed test that are really mad that they don't get connection. So, I don't know what part of town complains the most about, but we wanna get out the speed test to them. That's dollars in our pocket for increasing our broadband. I think the mistakes that other places have made is that the people that are doing it, it's showing that broadband is fine, and it's not.
So, what are you asking for agenda?
That the board discuss Shelley putting out the broadband speed test in strategic areas of, that we would solicit, or that we would encourage those areas of town that have poor broadband.
What's
You take the
what's our
speed test.
obligation for that?
I don't know.
Let's check into it. Let's see.
The towns have around us, since the village is pretty much set, it's just mostly the rural areas, so they've been pushing that pretty
The
heavily.
town, yeah, and towns, what's made, the mistake there is that people, it shows that they get good and they don't.
Yeah,
So
we have nothing to do with the
it's
town.
strategically,
Yeah, there's multiple providers and multiple,
it's just a speed test, that's all it is. I mean, I even forgot how I answered it, but after I did, I realized, you know what, I shouldn't have answered it, because that didn't do us any good by having.
I've got fiber, so.
I was gonna say, I wonder how much of it is actual, like,
Okay.
education.
It's more township stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Future items,
Yes.
resolutions that we will probably have for the bill grant, the Noel Nelson stewardship grant, carryover funds resolution, and possibly the vacation of that. Those are gonna be future agenda items.
Two of those, what would you think? Evidence, Nelson stewardship, and the vacation.
The other ones are the bill grant, the BIL grant, and then the carryover funds
All right, so we need to have an organizational meeting. We might have to have a meeting, we need to do a personnel meeting for reviews and stuff. And I plan to do that at our next board meeting,
session for personnel.
closed session for personnel. But if we have to have a meeting earlier for
New
a
organization.
resolution, yeah, organizational, I'd like to have just before the meeting, like we normally do. But if we have to call a meeting earlier, I'd like to do organizational during that.
Okay.
Because there's a couple things that might happen where we might have to call a meeting, but maybe not, so,
And do we have to do anything with this?
yes, fill them out.
Yeah. I also wanna make note.
Put your name on all of it.
You're fine.
Board of Review is scheduled for May 10th. Whoever is going to be serving on Board of Review, I need to have go through the training for Board of Review, because we're legally required to have at least one, myself included.
I took it last year? Did you take it?
Long time ago,
No,
5
Board of
years
Review
ago.
is May 10th. I will look at the certification. That will be from 6 to 8. Open book is the 19th, so next week, Tuesday. They are doing that via teleconference,
So we have to do board of review.
So when are we doing the other meeting?
Board of Review is May 10th, 6 to 8.
No,
Village Board meeting is May 3rd.
They'll let us know if there's another meeting.
oh, I thought we had to meet 3 weeks after.
It's or by the next regularly
Last
scheduled
year,
board meeting.
last year we did it just early, just before the board meeting started.
Yeah.
But if we have to have a meeting for a resolution that may be coming or something, we'll do them at the same. So next meeting might be a little longer than normal with closed session and everything.
Do you want these?
Yeah, you're done?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, why not?
Shelley, you can.
Yeah, absolutely, and,
Did you fill the whole thing out, James?
Did you put your name on everything?
No.
Miss, I don't know.
I thought that you're supposed to do that,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
And Mary,
These are
well, thanks for your
Thanks
time on the
for your
board.
service, Mary.
I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it.
You bet, you bet.
You're not doing it?
I ain't doing it.
It's a good date.
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
I move to adjourn.
Second. Oh, Harry second.
I heard second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
I gotta sign checks yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what we prefer to serve on, or what we did this year?
What you prefer to serve on,
That's what you'd like.
your first 8 choices.
I'm with Patchin, I'm not filling it.
At your discretion.
You know, which ones are, you know, I would do at least 3 or 4, top 3 at least.
It's home, my.
Library.